Welcome everyone. In today's video I just wanted to do another update for the Drift Weekly Races 1K Challenge videos. So technically this is still like within the first week and a half, but this will be week 2 on my channel of just covering this and what's going on. So there's some pretty spectacular results up and down the scale, right? So we have first FTX Ape, who's up 41%, and he didn't start trading that long ago as well. From what I recall, if we go to his Twitter, he just got a crazy trade on ETH, levered up, and I think put most of his portfolio in here, into this ETH long, and that made most of his gains. But if we just scroll through his tweets as well, he's been doing a lot of scalping as well, but this was a crazy trade for him, and that's done really well. And I think, if you have conviction in like a position, then sometimes it's going to make sense to go all out and 5x leverage your portfolio with that position. So that's really cool for FTX Ape, and make sure to follow him at FTX Ape on Twitter if you want to see more of his trades. So right now I'm sitting at 4th, and you can see my equity curve is fairly smooth actually. So for me, when I first started, I waited like 4 or 5 days before I actually made my first trade. I was just waiting for the market to start to take a direction. I think if I had immediately went long as soon as I got that money, I would have been in a lot better place. However, I like to make sure that there's like a confirmation of a trend going. So if we just go into my portfolio, we can see how well I've been doing. So I think I made my first trade on the 21st. Did well, lost a little bit of money there. So this was just intraday losses, and then my peak was on the sometime early morning on the 25th. Lost a bit, and it sort of bounced back. Now this big loss area here, I'm going to have to mainly attribute that to going long Luna. That might have been a mistake on my part. It looks really strong on like a relative strength basis, as well as the fact that it's like not too far away from its all-time highs, but maybe the narrative is sort of gone from Luna. It seems like the play this week was to long Bitcoin instead, but I was already long all of these other coins. You can't currently open more than 5 positions on Drift, and so instead of closing a position down and then buying Bitcoin, I just decided to long more Luna, and that didn't actually end up working out. As you can see, it's one of my only positions here that is actually in the red. Everything else is in the green, and I'll talk more about these positions and actually why I took them. But just here, for example, so my ETH position is larger than all of my other positions in terms of like notional dollar value. And the reason for this is that Ethereum is like, it's a heavy coin. And what I mean by that is just, it's not as volatile. And that makes sense because its market cap is like 10x all of these other coins here. So it takes a lot more money for it to move. And when it does move, its moves are a lot less volatile. And so I decided to like double my usual position size when I'm actually going long ETH. But the .1 worked out really well, and so did the FTT. Avalanche, not so well, but I'll speak more on that when I get into the charts. So let's get into Avalanche first. So when I got in and why I got in. So up here, Avalanche, I got in on this day. I have like a trend following approach. This is an indicator that I coded myself. I coded it specifically for Ethereum, and it does extremely well. And it also does well on Bitcoin as well. On some of the other altcoins, it doesn't do so great. Stuff needs to be like strongly trending upwards for this like indicator to work well. As you can see, it does take a few losses. For example, you would have gone long here and then sold at like a 14% loss. But for the most part, I think on the ETH pair, like its largest loss is maybe like 20%, which is okay with me because I'm aiming for mostly, I'm gonna try and average a 10% loss. And if I put 20% of my portfolio into each trade, that's a 2% loss of my equity, and that's very manageable. But yeah, I went long here, and it's basically flat since then. This entire week has been the Avalanche summit in Barcelona, I want to say, and there was a lot of announcements and lots of different news coming out for Avalanche. Lots of games have come out and announced that they're going to be building subnets. for their own particular game. However, it's a bit up in the air. Well, from my understanding, it's a bit up in the air whether or not these games will have to actually make sure the subnet is secure by incentivizing their own validators, or whether or not it's going to be shared security with the C chain. I'm not really sure what's going on there, because if it's shared security, then that's fine. But if they have to get their own validators, so it's going to be tough for a game to be doing that. In terms of this trade, what I look for is like good relative strength against Ethereum as well, and so I've coded this thing here and so it shows me Avalanche charted against Ethereum, and it's doing quite well. It's holding up fairly well if you think about it. So it's less than like 20% below its highs against Ethereum. So I thought this would be a good play, but it's just gone sideways since I actually entered it. So let's take a look at my next position. So that's Polkadot. Polkadot is one of those ones where I got in very early on it. I think this was the first trade I made. I just take a look. Order history. No, Avalanche was, and then I did the Polkadot trade as well. But yeah, not a big fan of having to go long this coin, but at the time there weren't that many setups, and I thought I needed to get some action in my portfolio, so I went long Polkadot. But it worked out quite well, and I'm up, a fairly decent amount since then. 11%, not bad. But as you can see, right, this is like bottom fishing, and I don't really like to go for bottom fishing sort of setups, but ended up working out well. And also you can see here the strength against Ethereum. It's not doing great. Polkadot is one of those heavy coins as well. Doesn't really have high beta. It doesn't really respond that well when the market goes up, and it's getting crushed. But I'm still long this coin. I'm probably going to exit it as soon as I can, as soon as I get the exit signal, and try and avoid longing Polkadot again, simply because of the fact that it's just not a very strong coin. So Ethereum, this is another one of my longs. So I went long here. We're up like say 4 or 5% on this position. Yeah, this is a bottom fishing setup. Like, we're still way below highs, and there's a lot of resistance in these areas as well. People are looking to sell into these rallies. However, I think that Ethereum, the narrative behind it is so strong that I couldn't not long Ethereum. Merge narrative is quite strong. Also, Ethereum Layer 2 2022 is quite strong. I'm pretty sure like Optimism or Arbitrum, either one of those or even both of those are going to drop a token soon, and that's going to cause Layer 2 2022 along with the merge. And then we're going to see something like EIP 4844 in the future, which is just going to make it even more appealing to start using rollup. So strong narrative behind Ethereum. Now FTT, I went long this coin, as you can see here, and then it's done pretty well since then. And its relative strength against Ethereum is decent. So against this all-time high, not great. But as you can see here, this is the 550 day moving average crossover here. And so we can see that it has strong momentum against Ethereum. I didn't like that it was below its 200-day moving average, and I think that we might drop below it, sometime soon, potentially, if the market has a turn. We're quite, extended away from all of the moving averages here, and typically that is a signal to me that you need to start taking profit. However, I'm not one to sell tops or buy bottoms, so I'm just going to let it run for now. Now, just taking a look at one last chart, this is of Cardano. It did really well last week. As you can see here, had a really good rally. If I just take this, let's see how much the gain was. So about 24% in the last 7 days. The DeFi ecosystem is really taking off on Cardano. I think it has like 200 to 300 million in TVL, and that'll probably rise to $1 billion in TVL at some point in the near future. I mean, they're still having problems scaling right now, and they're just going to change a few things around, and I think they'll start, really get things going. We meme on Cardano because they promised this, that, and the other, and really they haven't been able to deliver anything, but it really seems like they're actually going to be doing this. I really should have known the strength of the Cardano cult and actually longed Cardano. I did long it in the summer. Even when its strength against Ethereum was poor, I longed it here, and then it, began to outperform during the summer. and I sold it here for like a 91% gain. Sure, I could have sold it at $3. You know what I should have done, because smart contracts were meant to release here, and of course nothing happened for like 3 months, which was quite funny. So yeah, that was just a quick overview of what's going on with the Drift Racers 1K challenge. Week 2 is over. I am up, well, it says here I'm up like 3.5%, but if we take a look at my actual positions, it's more than that. I'm up more like 5%, but it's whatever. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to subscribe for more videos like this one.